Hey, good evening guys. Tonight's video I'm going to be talking about the 2020 London Marathon. This enormous competitive race is coming up in April, and I know a lot of athletes are preparing for this big race and they want to have the best tips to prepare for a personal best time. So with that being said, tonight's video we're going to be discussing 10 specific tips that you can follow to set a new personal best in London in April. And if you stick around to the end of the video, there's a bonus tip that will definitely, without question, provide a new strategy for you leading into this event that I guarantee your competition is not paying attention to. So if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, click subscribe and click on the bell icon. That way, anytime I make a new video, you'll be notified of that. And let's get started. Alright guys, so tonight we're going to be talking about 10 tips, specifically 11 tips. If you stick around to the end of this video, there's going to be one tip that I guarantee you your competition is not paying attention to. Probably don't know anything about it as well, so definitely stick around. So tip number one is to train preferably between 16 and 20 weeks for this marathon. A lot of athletes don't always prepare long enough for the marathon distance. I mean, this is not a 5K, it's not a track race, it's a marathon as we know. So it's 26.2 miles or 42.2 kilometers. So you want to make sure that you have a sufficient base laid down first. I would prefer you to do 4 weeks of just easy base mileage and then start a 16-week block of training. This is how I have all of my training programs that are on RunDreamAchieve.com set up, whether you're training for a sub 3-hour marathon, a sub 4-hour marathon, or you're trying to break 5 hours for the marathon. You may be highly advanced and you're trying to go under 2 hours and 30 minutes for the marathon. The training programs that I have built on the site, as well as all of my courses, are specifically built at 16 weeks long. And 4 months for a marathon is really optimal training. It's optimal training period for you to really get to the race in peak condition. If you want to branch out to 20 weeks, you can do that, but just make sure that you first just jogged for 4 weeks, just nice, easy mileage, no tempo runs, not even strides, just real easy jogging, 30 to 40 miles a week, preferably, or 20 to 30 miles a week if you're just getting started. If you're more advanced, you can do 40 to 50 miles, just nice and easy jogging prior to the start of your 16-week training block. So that's number one. The longer you train out preparing for your marathon, the more prepared you're going to be. Now again, you also have to be very, very vigilant about the paces that you're running on your easy days, on your hard days. There's a lot more that goes into it, and we'll be discussing that in these next few tips. But I highly recommend if you want to go toward a personal best at London, this is a lightning fast course. There are a lot of turns on the course, but it is very, very fast. That being said, no course is fast unless you are in great shape. So, I've run Chicago, I've run Columbus, and surprisingly, I never ran my personal best on those courses. I ran my best at the California International Marathon, which is a net downhill course, but there are a lot of hills on that course as well. And my second fastest I ever ran was on the Indianapolis course, which is much like London, but it doesn't have as many turns. But it's lightning fast, super flat, just minor hills on it. But yeah, I always prepared for my marathons for over a 16-week block of training. So that's tip number one. Make sure you have at least, get yourself out to at the very least 12 weeks and preferably out to 20 weeks. That way, as long as you have a plan in place, you know what you're doing each week, and you prepare for 16 weeks or 4 months, you're going to go into London this year in phenomenal shape. And that's really the key here, is to provide 2020 London Marathon tips that are really going to help you get to that next level in your racing and get to that finish line, in a personal best time. So tip number two, focus on training below your goal race pace. This is a common mistake that a lot of marathoners make, and they start to second guess themselves when they don't get the results they're looking for. You have to go back to, and if you've had any type of leak in your training, something that just isn't working, or you're able to sustain the pace for maybe 60% of the race and then you just fall apart at the end, go back and look at the training that you've done and see what percentage of the mileage that you're running each week. Find out how much of your what percentage of your weekly training are you training below your goal race pace. So if you're wanting to break a 3-hour marathon, you need to maintain 6 minutes and 52 seconds per mile for that entire distance. It doesn't matter if you're able to sustain the pace for 20 miles or 21 miles. It's where you're at the finish line. So you need to spend more quality time training below that 6:52 mile pace if your goal is 3 hours. The faster, and it doesn't matter if you're trying to break a 2:30 marathon, a 2:20 marathon, or a 5-hour marathon. You have to improve your lactate tolerance. You have to train longer periods of time at your anaerobic threshold. So, and we're going to be discussing here in the following tips here, some other strategies that you can use to really improve your lactate tolerance, because focusing at training at below race pace will make race pace feel more comfortable, more in control, less aggressive, and that's what you want. You want to make sure that you're running as efficiently as you possibly can for the entire duration of the race, not for a portion of the race, but for the entire duration of the London Marathon. It's going to be a great race. I know 2020 is going to be a great year for you. The fact that it's only a couple months away here, a few months away in April, it's not that far away, but you have sufficient time if you listen to these tips to make your adjustments so that you get to the race. You have a great taper and you go in rested and you go and you run a new personal best. So number 3. Again, number 2, focus on training below your goal race pace. Make sure that you look at your weekly volume and find out what you've done in the past that has caused you, what leaks in your training have caused you to not to be able to sustain that pace, your goal race pace, over the marathon distance. And I guarantee you, in most cases, most athletes are not spending enough time training far below their goal race pace. So if for me, trying to break 2 hours and 20 minutes for the marathon, like I said, in other videos, it took me from 2002, when my personal best was 2:43.36, to 2007 to break 2 hours and 20 minutes. So I had to spend a great amount of time training under 5 minutes and 20 seconds per mile pace to get to a point where I was fit enough to be able to sustain that pace over the 26.2 mile distance. So the same goes with you. You can set a huge personal best. I've known athletes, I've even trained athletes that have dropped their marathon time down a full hour in a matter of a 4-month period. So if you're setting up your training properly and you're reviewing the things that you've done in the past that have went right and the things that you've been doing wrong, then you can make those corrections and really go into London in phenomenal shape and create a huge personal best for yourself. So number 3, develop your speed. Okay, it's self-explanatory, but you have to continue to work on your speed. When it comes to the marathon, yes, it's not a mile, it's not a 5K, it's not a 10K, but you still have to have that stamina and strength, and you have to have that leg speed. And it doesn't matter if you're like myself, who's not really, I didn't have a lot of talent, but I did have the willingness to get out the door and put in the work for years upon years upon years. Yes, you have to have an enormous amount of patience to run well over the marathon, but if you're continuing to work on your speed, then you're going to teach your body to not only improve its lactate tolerance, but you're going to run more efficiently, more economically over the entire distance rather than just a portion of the marathon. So two key workouts I want you to keep in mind, and you may have already been doing these types of workouts, but I want to continue to reiterate, this is very important. Six times 1 mile repetitions on the track at your 5K race pace. That's the same types of workouts that I would do when I was training for the marathon, and I'm still training for the marathon, but when I was at my peak fitness, I was doing 6 times 1 mile at approximately 442 to 446 per rep at altitude at 6,400 feet with a 3-minute rest. And when I was really fit, I would be able to do it, those 6 reps, with a 2-minute rest. So what you want to do when you're training for the 2020 London Marathon is, 1, don't immediately run, your first couple weeks. Don't be doing 6 times 1 mile at your 5K race pace. It's going to be extremely difficult. So you want to, over time, as you get fitter, increase the pace of your 6 times 1 mile repetitions, but you want to lower your rest periods as well. The number 2 type of workout that's really important is 3 times 2 miles. I knew I was ready to run the marathon and to break 2 hours and 20 minutes when I was able to do 3 times 2 miles on the track under 10 minutes each with a 5-minute recovery. So once you're in your latter stages of your 16-week or 20-week block of training leading into the 2020 London Marathon, I want you to really be able to, if it's your goal is to run 7-minute mile pace for the marathon, I want you to go out there and to be able to hold your 3 times 2 miles at around 5:45 to 6 flat pace. It's going to make your goal race pace 7-minute. If that's just for example's sake, if 7-minute mile pace is your goal race pace for the marathon, think about what training, a minute to 2 minutes faster than your goal race pace is going to feel like. It's going to make race pace feel so much easier. So again, you want to continue to work on your speed, continue to get out on the track, do those 200s, do those 300-meter repeats, repeat Ks. Those are other workouts that I did that I'm a firm believer of when you're training at paces that are closer to 2 minutes faster than your goal race pace. Yes, we're not going to be able to spend much time at that type of intensity, but it's going to make your goal race pace feel so much easier leading into the 2020 London Marathon. So I hope that makes sense. It's very, very important to not only train above your race pace, but far below your goal race pace. Number 4, arrive early. The fact that you're traveling from, if it was me running in London, I would have to travel from the United States over to London. So, you want to also factor in with the race being on, I don't know if it's a Saturday or Sunday this year, I would leave, if it was me, I would leave probably on a Monday or a Tuesday. Get to London far in advance so you allow your body some time to recover. Not only from the time difference, but the travel over the pond. So definitely arrive early. That way you can get settled in, relax, get caught up on sleep. So that's number 4. The number 5 tip is do not sweat the shoe hype. Okay, there are so many people that are talking about the Nike Alpha Fly and the Nike Next Percent shoe. It doesn't matter what type of shoe the athlete is wearing. Okay, there's so much online discussion right now about those shoes and the spring and how it's assisting athletic performance. And I agree that there is some form of athletic performance that it does assist with. But that being said, it doesn't matter what shoe you're wearing. If you're not in peak shape, if you're not prepared to run 26.2 miles, it doesn't matter what shoe you're wearing, you're going to fall apart. If you're not drinking well enough, if you're not hydrating well in the race, if you're lacking on sleep, if you've been disciplined on the track and roads, but you haven't been disciplined, you've been partying too much, let's be honest, it doesn't matter what shoe you're wearing. Let me show you something. These shoes here, the Adidas Adizero, these shoes, you can see how thin these are. This is the shoe I wore when I ran 2:19:35 for the marathon. These. Okay, I guarantee you, if I would have had the Nike Next Percent or the Nike Alpha Fly, if I was not in great shape, it wouldn't have mattered. I wouldn't have ran a 2:19, whether I was wearing these shoes or I was wearing the Nike Next Percent or Alpha Fly. So don't get caught up in the shoe hype. Wear whatever shoe you want to wear. I've never even worn these shoes, but because I've read so much about it, I'm probably going to invest in these shoes in a particular marathon that I'm aiming for in January 2021. I'll bring that up probably later on in 2020. We can discuss that later on. But that being said, don't sweat the shoe hype. Okay, wear whatever shoe you want to wear. Again, it doesn't matter what shoe you're wearing. You've got to be in great shape. So wear what you want to wear. Number 6, speed up your long runs. I talk about this all the time on my videos and on the website RunDreamAchieve.com. You want to speed up your long run. You don't want to run every single week running long, slow distance. Long, slow running will make you a great long, slow runner. And if you want to go into the 2020 London Marathon in peak shape and to get a new personal best, you have to start varying up the paces of your long run. Don't just, for me, how I went from 2:43:36 to 2:19:35 is I started varying up the paces of my long runs. I started doing my long runs at 160 beats per minute. I'll talk on this piece in a second here, but I started running at my long runs at closer to 85% of my maximum heart rate. A great way to get your maximum heart rate is to subtract your age from 220. So, you know, if you're 20 years old, your max heart rate is around 200 beats per minute. Again, it's just an estimate. There is no way for anybody, no exercise physiologist, to test the power of the mind. So you know, we can all be tested physiologically. We can get the VO2 max stress test, find out what our lactate levels are at specific percentages of intensity and specific paces on the treadmill. But nobody can test the mind. So you have to, it's just in terms of finding out what your max heart rate is, start training at a higher percentage of your max heart rate for a longer period of time. One of the key reasons why I was able to go from 243 to sub 220 for the marathon was changing up how I was setting up my long runs. I would do moderate long runs. I would do long runs where I would drop a sub 5 minute mile every fourth mile, and then just right back in. After the hard mile, I would do like 5 miles at 160 beats per minute, and then like 5 miles easy, drop another sub 5 minute mile. These types of workouts will, for one, you're running far faster than you're trying to race at for the marathon distance in certain segments of the long run itself. So again, you want to train far, like we talked about in the previous steps, you want to train far faster than race pace. You want to train at 10 to 20 seconds above goal race pace. And you want to also, you know, train much faster, like a minute to 2 minutes faster than race pace. And again, you're not me or anybody else is going to be able to spend that much time at that aggressive of a pace. But again, it's going to make your goal race pace feel so much more relaxed, so much more in control. So speed up your long runs. Number 7, use a heart rate monitor. Okay, you may not have taken this as seriously as you should have in the past. I all through high school, I never used heart rate monitors. My collegiate coach Jack Hazen talked me into start using them. And when I got to Malone University in 1995 as a freshman, I got introduced to heart rate monitor training and learned the importance of it from Jack and from Dr. Joe Vigil. Dr. Joe Vigil is one of the world's most renowned exercise physiologists, one of the most respected distance running coaches in the world. And these two coaches, Jack as well, one of the best coaches in the world, are very adamant about heart rate monitor training. And what it does is, if you're always focused so much, like when you're leading into the 2020 London Marathon, you want to, the training is going to be tough. Marathon training isn't easy, but when you're out there doing tempo runs, it's a lot easier to be able to just look down at your heart rate monitor and find out, okay, I want to do my tempo run at anaerobic threshold pace. So I want to hold between 165 to 174 beats per minute. So it's a lot easier when you're just focusing on effort. And a lot of times you're going to just feel like crap, and you want to go off of feel rather than worrying about what pace per mile or pace per kilometer that you're running at. So heart rate monitor is critical. The heart rate monitor training zones that I recommend is easy pace, and this is what I recommend on all my training programs. And if you're on RunDreamAchieve.com and you see the courses, all my courses are all video courses, but they all end in a 16-week training program. And the majority of it, probably 95% of my programs and my courses revolve around heart rate monitor training. So easy is between 130 to 150 beats per minute. Moderate is between 151 and 160. Anaerobic threshold training is between 164 to 174 beats per minute. And then obviously when we're doing intervals, track training, that's where you're training close to or even sometimes above your maximum heart rate. And those are at your aerobic capacity. That's your aerobic capacity. It's like the maximum amount of oxygen uptake that you can create racing as fast as you can. And again, aerobic capacity is when you're creating so much lactic acid that you can't clear it. And that's why the hydrogen ion component of lactic acid, it starts to shut down muscle functioning. So the fat, again, working on the speed like we talked about in tip 3, continue to work on that speed because it's going to recruit those fast twitch muscle fibers that we want. The more fast twitch muscle fibers that we can recruit, the more efficient, the more economical that you're going to run over the entire distance rather than just a portion of the distance. You do not want to experience the wall, okay? So, and this isn't even in the tips, but I want you hydrating. I want you practicing leading into the 2020 London Marathon. I want you practicing taking in more fluid on your long runs, practicing taking in a couple gels, maybe at mile 7 and a mile 20 if you're doing like a 23 or 24 mile long run. Take in more calories and try taking in more fluids. It's a big mistake that a lot of athletes going into this 2020 London Marathon, I guarantee you, are making in their training. They're not taking in enough fluid and they're not taking in enough calories. And they get to a portion of the race and they start to shut down. Our bodies only have about 1,800 calories of glycogen storage at any given time. And we usually burn between 100 and to 110 calories per mile. So it makes sense that around mile 18 is when we usually hit the so-called wall. And I say so-called because you do not have to experience the wall. I didn't experience a wall when I broke 220. I didn't experience a wall when I broke 227. When I ran 226.42 at the 2011 Monumental Indianapolis Marathon. No wall. Didn't experience it. I had trained sufficiently leading into that race, and I prepared well. I trained at paces that were way faster than my goal race pace, and I was able to sustain it. So utilize a heart rate monitor. It will take the stress off of you from worrying about kilometer pace and per mile pace, and get you focused more on just effort. Okay. So number 8, surround yourself with winners. Surround yourself with positive people. People that are going to get you out of your comfort zone, that are going to uplift you. People that are going to care about you, whether you finish dead last or you win the race. Surround yourself with winners. It's absolutely critical to have that motivation, that support system around you. And don't focus on anything negative. Get away from anything negative. If it's negative news, if it's negative comments from people that are making about you, read a good book, listen to a positive podcast, listen to an audiobook, have a good conversation with friends or family, but focus on positive. You gotta have the right mindset leading into the 2020 London Marathon. You do not want to go in there stressed out, worried about things that are out of your control. Focus on the positive. Surround yourself with winners. I'm telling you, that's one of the best tips that I can provide, because I had people around me that were constantly, when I was at the World Class Athlete program and when I was training for the 2011 Monumental Marathon, the 2013 California Marathon, which was the 2013 California International Marathon was the last marathon I ran. It's been a few years. I ran 2:32. I was 38 years old. And I was 35 when I ran 2:26. And now, I'm 43 and I'm really getting the itch to try to break 2:30. And I think maybe I can still break 2:20. But I got to follow as well these same tips, and I got to get really hungry again to get it. And that's what I want to share with you, because I want to see you run a new personal best of the 2020 London Marathon. If you're not running London and you have another marathon in mind, keep these tips in mind. Share this video. Again, surround yourself with winners, people that are going to uplift you and get you out of your comfort zone and force you to do the things that you know you ought to do, because a lot of us need that over time. The number 9th tip: lengthen your tempo run distance. A lot of athletes do not run their tempo runs long enough. Maybe they're training for the marathon and they've gotten out to 8 miles or maybe 9 miles. Try getting it out to around 13 to 15 miles. I mean, for a lot of people, 13 to 15 mile is a long run, but imagine how strong you're going to feel if you can get a tempo run out to that far, and especially if you get a 15-mile tempo run and you're running close to your anaerobic threshold for that entire time. Again, it's going to teach your body to be able to clear that lactic acid much more efficiently and get you to the finish line in a record time. So the number 10 tip: slow down on your easy days. I cannot stress this enough. All of the benefits of your hard work and dedication come within the rest. Okay? So I've trained with 2:10 marathoners, 2:11 marathoners, athletes that can run sub 5-minute mile pace over a 26-mile distance that would be running 9-minute mile pace on their easy days. 9 minutes, 10-minute mile pace. And I've trained with other athletes that go like 6-minute mile pace on their easy days. And it's not easy for them either. They don't realize it. They need to back off. And it, even for me, I was real caught up too with that. I was like, I got to run almost all of my mileage at quality pace. Well, it doesn't matter how fast you're doing workouts or how long your tempo runs or what pace you hit them at. You cannot continue to push the body and get results. There's a point of diminished return where you've got to be able to allow yourself time, and the only way to do that is to have the same self-discipline that you have on your hard days as you do on your easy days. slow down, back off your pace, and allow your body to recover. I'm telling you, your body will thank you for it. And at the finish line of the 2020 London Marathon, you're going to be emailing me, you're going to be leaving me a comment below this video telling me, Nate, I listened to your tips, you got a new personal best. And I got a new personal best. So if this is helpful to you, leave me a comment below. Let me know where you're currently at with your training, what your current marathon best is. I want to know what your current marathon best is and what you plan on running at the 2020 London Marathon, or if you haven't decided on running London, what marathon that you have in mind in the coming months and what your specific goal marathon time is for that event. Okay, now that you've stuck around the entire time, I want to give you a bonus tip that I guarantee you none of your competition's talking about. If you're a subscriber to this channel, you've probably heard me bring it up before. If you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button, click on the bell icon. That way, anytime I make a new video, you'll be notified of that. But what I've talked about in other videos is research glutathione. I guarantee you hardly anybody you probably know, anybody that you train with, probably none of your friends or family know anything about it. Research glutathione. It's the body's master antioxidant. Every cell of the human body produces it, but its direct role in the body is to detoxify the body of free radicals, heavy metals, and oxidative stress. These are things that what occur from our doing the hard training, and it also stems from stress as well. So I'm going to leave some resources below this video, some blog posts that I've written over the years that you can read up on, and also research a company that I've been involved with since 2013. I'll leave the links below. You can just take a look at it, research what glutathione does. Right now, if you go to PubMed, so PUBMED, type PubMed in the Google search, and you'll find that there are over 150,000 medical peer-reviewed articles written about it. This is something most distance runners know nothing about, and I guarantee you a lot of the athletes that are feeling fatigued, they're feeling stressed out, are running dangerously low on glutathione. So that is the tip. I appreciate you watching this video. Like I said, if you have I want to know in the comment section. Click on the like button if you've enjoyed these tips, and then definitely leave me a comment below. Let me know what your current marathon best is, what specific marathon you're aiming for in 2020, and what your goal marathon, what your goal pace and what your goal time is. I want to know that. So have a great afternoon, great morning, great evening, wherever you are in the world, and I'll talk to you in the next video.